everyone, welcome to the next part of this video from Merry Christmas by Hanna Karlzon, and we have our squirrel to colour today. Now I think it's going to be easier to do the little ribbon here before we actually do the fur, because we might overlap the fur over the ribbon a little bit, possibly. I think it'll look better done that way. So what colour for the ribbon? Well, I was thinking, I had considered doing gold like these two, but I think thinking about the colour of our squirrel, it's got a red squirrel, sort of orangey red. I was thinking maybe a green might be better, it would stand out more than a gold or a red would. So I thought we might grab one of the greens. Let me have a little look. I could use the basil that we've used consistently through. I think that might make sense. We're using Derwent Chromaflow. I assume you remember by the time we get to this one, especially if you're colouring along. So here is the basil. I am going to come in closer because we are just going to be concentrating on the squirrel itself for a little while. There we go. Give it a sharpen. There we go. So basil, and on this thin bit at the top here, I'm just going to put in quite a hard colour amount like that. For the bow, I might fade it a tad towards the end, and I'll see how it looks and decide if I'm happy. I hope everyone's doing well today. My son has been out for a walk and he spotted the kingfisher. He was very lucky. He said it was really quiet and he thinks that's why he saw it, because you don't see it when it's busy. So that was nice for him. And he also saw a female mandarin duck, and they're really pretty, I think, as well. I think I'll fade that one in the middle. I'll fill out all of that. So yeah, so he had a nice little walk. I told him to take his Mac because we're forecast thunderstorms again. Yesterday I heard 2 loud claps of thunder, but we had quite a bit of rain, which is very much needed. And today we'll forecast the same, actually starting now, although the sun seems to be shining still at the moment. You know, we'll see how it progresses. You never know with the weather, whether it's read the forecast and is going to do what it's told or not. But the forecast did seem to indicate that once it starts raining, it's set in for the day. So my son that's at work, he's luckily got a Mac with him, so he's going to get very wet. Now we have the nut. I'm going to do that next. And we have a colour here, called nutshell. Shall we? I just put a light layer on and see what it looks like. I think that's okay. I mean, if it's an almond, then that's the wrong colour. But anyway, we'll just do it this colour anyway. Because an almond shell is quite pale actually, isn't it? It's more like a sort of beigey cork type colour. I'm just making it a bit darker around the edge. I don't know why. I just feel like I want to. That maybe that's a little bit too dark, but never mind. I'm going to leave that for now. I might change it up later. Now, squirrel's eye, I'm just going to do the black bit in the centre with my black pencil. So here is the black. Now I want this to be very deep and dark, so no shading or anything, just burnish it down so we've got a really deep black. Now I don't know what colour the iris is, or whether in fact squirrels have an iris, or whether they just have the sort of black. I'm not sure. Don't know. Going to leave that for now. Right, let's get on with some squirrel colours. Now the red squirrel is sort of orangey red. I'm actually going to start with the burnt sienna. I think we used that for some of our berries, didn't we? Here it is, burnt sienna. Now I want to immediately start indicating texture, so I'm going to colour it like this with stripe, intention of stripe. Now I did have a look at the colour of a red squirrel online, and the tummies are white, but we can't see any tummy in this page, so we don't need to think too hard about that. What I am doing is thinking about making sure my fur direction is the same way that Hanna has drawn it. That bit there, I'm going to leave to be white or lighter. Yeah, fur direction can be quite tricky, but Hanna does help us by sort of drawing it on. So how she's drawn it on the face here is that it's all sort of coming out from the eye. So that makes it easy for us. And there we go, just keep on going, and then to the paw. Yeah, I hope everyone's well. And yeah, I hope you're enjoying this sort of start of autumn colouring. I know some people are not happy to say goodbye to summer, but I hope the colours make you feel cheerful. You know, autumn colours are beautiful, and we get a lot of sunshine in the autumn, dappled through the changing leaves and things like that, and that's a lovely season, I think. Yeah. So I think probably autumn is my favourite season, if I had to say one. Then winter, then spring, then summer. Spring is as nice as autumn temperature-wise, I always feel, but it's because summer's coming, I get a bit of a sense of dread towards the end, which is, yeah. Whereas because autumn brings winter, I'm happy. Although my feet are really cold today. I was tempted to grab some slippers, but I haven't, or put a blanket over them. Cold feet. But never mind, I will manage. I've always struggled with cold feet. Also, it helps if I move around a bit more, which I should do. But there we go. And it's Thursday here today. It might be Friday when this goes out. Trying to think about it. And I'm thinking about the weekend, because nobody works Friday to Monday. Well, goes out to work, shall we say. Husband said he's got some work research to do over the weekend. He's got to pop to the docks. I'm not sure why, really. Well, I guess it's routine. He had a scan and it was all fine. So he's got to see the doctor, talk about it. I don't really know what he's going to say. But anyway, he's got that, so that's fine. Nothing to be concerned about. And was all good news. Haven't got anything else planned, which is nice. He needs a weekend off, really. He got a bit stressed last weekend, various things going on, so we'll see anyway if he manages to get some time to rest. Although he wants to do some research for work, because he said he was chatting with someone about this new project he's working on, and they were using all these I can't think of the word, shortened words, letters for things, you know, like we use the first letters of words instead of the actual full version. And he didn't really know all of them, so he feels like he wants to do some work. He said he knows he's like the new person on the team, but he feels like he wants a bit more knowledge rather than just appearing a bit dumb, I suppose. So he wants to do a bit of research, but he's really excited about the new project, so it's good in a way. But I do worry that when he comes to retiring, he'll have absolutely nothing to do and he won't know what to do with himself. I have just sharpened the burnt sienna. I'm going to do some more strands on the tail here before we switch to a different colour. Yeah, I do wonder what he's going to find to do. The difficulty is that he's not very self-disciplined. So if he sets himself a challenge, a job, a task, whatever it might be, he doesn't always do it because no one's kicking him, pushing him, encouraging him, nagging him, whatever the phrase or whatever is needed. So I am a bit concerned that when he comes to retire, he'll just get himself in a bit of a state that, you know, he'll think he's not contributing because he's not doing anything and he hasn't got anything to do and all that sort of thing. And yes, he could do, there are all sorts of things he could do, obviously. So many things, you know, work in the community, volunteer work he could do. He could get back into his art more. He could do or read, and you know, there's so many, travel, you know, there's so many things. But I just think he just needs to decide and have some sort of goals, or else he's going to be a bit lost. Now this looks quite scruffy. That's okay. I'm not worried about that at the moment. If it continues to look scruffy, I might worry, but I'm hoping it will look like fur rather than scruffiness. So I'm going to grab the spice, which is very slightly darker. My spice pencil is a little bit poorly, but I'm sure it'll work, and put some fur on top of what we've done already. I'm going to give it a sharpen and hope I don't break even more wood off. No, it seems to be okay. I don't know why this particular pencil is, I'm going to start on the tail actually. Why this particular pencil is got that broken bit of wood on the end, it's quite funny. So I would have expected more of Derwent. I'm sure if I complained they'd probably send me a new one or something, but you know, it's not, the lead isn't moving, so that's fine, it's usable. It's just surprising, if you know what I mean. But anyway, it is what it is. So I'm trying to think while I'm doing this what I'm going to do for my next picture. Not in this book. I've got a book next to me actually with a picture in, but I don't think I can do it next because I think it's going to take too many videos. So I need to do something that, because I've got 2 days left of the week before planner. But I've got a few ideas of something I might do. So we'll see what happens. So yes. Let's put some on those ears. Again, trying to work out that direction. Coming from the eye all around the head. I haven't really done anything lately to sort of yap about, so it's a bit tricky really. I've been making loads and loads and loads of videos and so I haven't really done much else. Chatted to my mum and dad yesterday. What were they saying? Oh yeah, my mum's going to a little family get together at the weekend. It's only it's a small one, so I haven't been invited, which is fair enough. It's I don't really keep in touch with that side of the family very much anyway, so it's perfectly understandable. And so she's really looking forward to that, because some of them people she hasn't seen for a really long time, and some of them not quite so long ago, but you know, basically my cousins and second cousins. So I think that's really nice. She's looking forward to doing that. Now I want to grab, I'm going to go to I'm wondering where, I'm looking at the oranges, but I think they're a little bit too orange. I know. So I'm going to go with the redwood, and I'm going to try and put a little bit of depth into this. Now, with Hanna, the way Hanna draws fur, we basically got clumps of fur drawn on. So what we can do is, let me show you, say here, we could put some shadow under these bits to emphasize the fur, rather than doing lines of fur. And I've seen people use lots of different techniques. I think I'm going to stick with my lines, because that's how I've started. And I'm thinking that this bit down here at the tail might be a bit darker where it's near the body. There might be some more shadow here. So I'm going to put quite a lot here of this redwood. And then when we go higher up the tail, I'll do a bit less. Oh, hear a lot of banging and clattering. So I'm thinking down here it would be shadowy, and then up here less. So I'm just doing my strokes less often. So we've still got a bit of this colour flecked through, but not as much. Like that. And then I'm going to put a little bit, I'm going to put a bit more inside the ear here where I think it might be darker, and on this back ear so that we can see that it's behind, and then just the odd fleck here and there. And we're going to do a similar thing with quite a few other darker colours where we sort of just add more in certain areas. So here, look, where the body and leg meet, there might be a bit more shadow there, so we might put a little bit more there. So here we're just doing odd bits rather than all of it. That's quite red actually, probably a bit too red. We're going to use a little bit of brown as well. What sort of shade? I think the willow could be quite good. So willow. Now I'm going to, how dark is this? Oh, not that dark. Okay. So I'm going to put a bit more of this in the ear here and up here. But I'm just going to put some strands around. Slightly takes away the bright reddishness of the squirrel. Without making it too brown. But we do need some darker colours in some areas as well. But we'll get there. We're just building up. And it's patience and time takes to do this, which I don't always have very much of, particularly patience. Time I can find. Patience tends to not. I tend to not find it very well. But if you can slowly see it coming together, and that it's worth the effort, and that it's looking how you feel it should, then that helps with the patience. I'm going to put this a bit darker down here, like we did with the redwood, to again start to build a bit of shadow, a bit of a shadowy look to this bit. It isn't that dark. We will go darker. As I say, all we're doing is just gently building up layer after layer of colour. Hopefully we can get a sort of fairly saturated amount of colour without it looking too flat, with it looking quite furry. There we go. Now I looked at some pictures of red squirrels, and there were various different slight differences in colour. I am going to go quite dark for the next bit. This is the coffee bean. Let's give it a sharpen. Now there are a couple of areas of our squirrel that could potentially be quite dark, so I'm going to make them dark. The tips of the ears are often quite dark, so we're just going to do that, just the smallest amount. And then the tail, sometimes it's darker and sometimes it's lighter, but I'm going to make the end of the tail a bit darker. I think it's easier than trying to make it lighter. Sort of darker there. I'm also going to put a bit down here, this sort of shadowy area. Now, a lot of the pictures, it was a little bit confusing when I looked at red squirrel on the on my search engine, because I kept getting pictures of grey squirrels. We are going to put a bit of grey in the squirrel, but it's not a grey squirrel. But I'm just looking. I'm going to use the basalt grey. I just feel like it needs a little touch. I can't find the basalt grey. There it is. A little touch of grey just to tone down all that red, but then I might end up adding some orange, so you know. Okay, so basalt grey. I'm going to try and make these strands a bit smaller. I don't know why, I just feel like I want them to be smaller. Put a bit into the ear there. I'm going to sort of keep them fairly close together as well. I feel it's just working how I'd hoped and slightly toning down the sort of really bright colour. I don't know what to do for the nose. I'll probably do it black. But I think it's also adding a depth because it looks like it could be shadow potentially. There we go. Down through the paw as well. This gap. My stomach is gurgling. It's 11:45. Early for lunch. There we go. I was hungry at about before my husband left for work. I'd had breakfast, just in case you're wondering. I did have a bit of a smaller breakfast, so that probably didn't help matters. But I'm going to sharpen this again. It feels to me like it's getting a little bit blunt. Yeah, there weren't many bananas, so I just had grapes and I had a bit of oats. I wasn't that hungry then, which is why I didn't. Now I feel hungry. I didn't have a banana, so maybe I have one with my lunch. Maybe. I can hear someone drawing curtains next door. Yeah, our walls are quite thin, but it's okay. We're used to it by now. We've lived here for however long? Since 2001. Wow, quite a long time. My neighbour opposite is moving out soon. I'm quite sad. She's lovely. And I caught her yesterday. Well, I saw her yesterday, and she was standing at her window just looking out wistfully. And I was like, I know she's going to miss it, but she's moving nearer to her family, so that makes perfect sense. But she's been here a long time, lots of memories. Must be hard. I mean, she's been here since, crikey, since the 80s. So that is a lot of memories, a long, long time. Okay, now I have decided to go for the sienna gold. Now we're going to perk up that orange again. I just feel like it needs a few more layers. I think this might work. Sienna gold. Yeah, I'm trying to do fairly small strands so that I can fill in the spaces I feel are lacking, because I can sort of see where I need to put them. So I want it to look a bit more full of colour, furry, you know. There we go. And yeah, he might look a bit too red. I might have to tone him down again after. We'll see. I might feel happy. Who knows? Now, it's quite often tempting with fur to get a white pen and do some white on there, and it does make it look more furry. Any pen would do that though. So if you fancied, you could use a gel pen in a similar colour to what we've been using, and that would sort of make more of a striking impact because of it being so much more intense in colour. So that's something to consider, that it would really look very, very furry with a pen compared to a pencil. You would really see all those strokes. But I may have a pen the right colour, but I'm not going to do that today. It's not. It wasn't part of my plan, and I don't think it's really going to be necessary. I think his colour, her colour, is coming out really well now. I'm happy with that colour. So that's a bit sparse. It's a bit sparse on actual saturation. Yeah, we're getting there. Tail time. How are we doing for time? 27. So working out quite well. Still got a few little bits to do after this. As I say, I'm trying to just make sure I fit in all the gaps. So I'm looking for areas that look a bit pale or even white to make sure we've got some colour. Now, one way that people would do this to make it easier is to do a base coat first. You could do that in pencil, but some people would do it in an alcohol marker, and then you can pencil on top. I wouldn't recommend using an alcohol marker in this book because it's going to go through the page and going to spoil whatever is on the back. So I would never recommend using one in a colouring book, but I think that there are people that buy 2 versions of each colouring book and just colour them single-sided. And then they can, because they've got 2 books, they can colour every image. But I think a lot of people just tend to use their alcohol markers in single-sided books. There we go. There's our squirrel getting there. We have got the nose to do, which I'm going to do in the black, which is here, black. There we are. Now this little bit here, I don't want to leave it white, so I'm going to go for a creamy colour. We have this parmesan colour. I'm going to try that. I'm probably going to mix up a few different colours, to be honest, in here. But I'm going to start with this one. So this is the parmesan, and I'm going to do really short strokes, and you really won't be able to see it because it's so pale. Then I'm going to move to using, I think I'm just going to go for a grey, or maybe, actually I've just spotted the right colour, the biscotti. It's a sort of brownish grey. It's a little bit dark, so I'm going to have to be careful, but it should work. So give it a sharpen. Yeah. really small strokes. That's my intention here. Just a tad. There we go. And I just don't know what to do about that eye. Maybe a sort of hazely brown would be nice. Let's go for, I don't know what hazely brown is. Oh, the bourbon, maybe. I try that. Bourbon. 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 Who knows? Now, I'm going to start on the top, and that's going to be quite thick. Come around the side and reduce. Same from the bottom, so we have a little bit that's really pale either side, and I think that gives it a little bit of glow and life into the eye. Even though we've got this little white dot that's been drawn on for us, I think that helps. Now I've noticed down here we've got a bit of a lacking in colour, so I'm just going to grab the spice and I'm going to just put a little bit in there. There we go. You may not have to do that, but I've missed a bit. Next, we need to do some white pen work and also these dots that are all over the page. Let's come out so you can see them all, or else I'll forget. Whoop, there we go. So let's grab some pens. Firstly, a white. I think I want the 8. I don't want it too big. And I'm going to draw some white on the berries. There are marks drawn on them already, and those are the ones I'm following. So you don't need to try and work out and copy what I'm doing, because you can look at your drawing and you can see that they're drawn on there. I'm just going over those black lines that are there already. Probably need a couple of coats of white because it's black underneath. But I'll do the first one. It takes a bit of concentration, hence a bit less talking. I could probably have used a thicker white actually. Anyway, using this one now. And I didn't think to check whether we get bleeding into Chromaflow pencils. Just going to look at my swatch chart. It looks like we do on the Midnight Purple. And Wild Berry, I think will be fine. It's not on the colours that I've used. That's what, when I go to the Derwent Pencil Museum, I'm determined. A question I would have to ask them would be, you know, can you do anything to prevent your pencils bleeding into white pen? You probably wouldn't know what I was talking about. But it'd be interesting to know if they had thought about that being a problem. I'm going to switch to a thicker pen. I'm going to use my Languo, much thicker nib. Oh, that's better. I will go back and redo those others in a minute. Now I want to do these. Again, the smaller ones have markings on, but the bigger ones I just made it up. So you can make it up too, you have to copy me. And the little dots that are in the background, I'm going to do those with a metallic pen. I want it to be a gold-ish one. In my Sakura metallics, I have 3 pens which have different sort of shades which I think could work. So I've got to make up my mind which one I'm going to use, or I could use a mixture, but I've never done that before. Do you think a mixture? Now I'm pondering that idea I've put into my own head. A mixture, maybe it would work, or maybe it'd make more sense to have a mixture of green, red and gold. Pondery ponder. I've put some ideas into your head though as well, so you can do what you think would work best. Now I need to do these ones, and because this is wet, I have to turn the book a little bit. So I don't really like turning the book on video because I think it can be a bit confusing, but I am just following the lines that are on there that you've already done anyway. Now when you're going over the top of pen that you've already done, you need to make sure that it's dry, because otherwise it just comes off. And so just, I mean this, I'm not convinced this was actually dry, but I think that it seems to be working nicely. Might be the pen. But yeah, so if you try and go back over the top of something when it's not totally dry, don't be surprised if you struggle. Okay, I'm also going to do the dot in the eye with white. I always find going over it with a white, it just jumps back off the page a little bit more, because where it's been drawn there, you've probably got bits of pen in there, maybe not, without even realising, pencil, sorry, without even realising. Okay, so we have these metallics. I dropped them on the floor the other day, so they're all out of order, but there's the gold, and there's the sort of two bronzy type colours, and I'm going to mix them up. I'll give you the numbers just in case you want to do the same thing, but I won't tell you this dot's this number and this dot, because it'll get tiresome. 554, 551 and 517, and I'm going to be completely random with them, so don't get yourself like, oh, I've got to do exactly the same, because it's just a random choice. Okay, now take the lids off all of them, because I'm going to work my way from the top of the page to the bottom, trying not to smudge as I go. There's my first one. I'm going to put that pen down, grab the next pen, do this one, then do a gold one, then back to the original one. So I'm just, that's that colour, so I've got to do there. Yeah, so it's just pick one up, do a dot with it, pick up the next. I could have filled in all one and then all the other, but then I would have had to contend with wet, and I've got enough wet on here as it is. So I'm just trying to do it bit by bit. If you're left-handers, as I so often say, you'll need to go in the opposite direction or else you'll smudge them. I'm going in the non-smudgy right-handed direction. It's an official thing, look it up. No, don't look it up. Oh dear, it's going slightly stir crazy today, hasn't been out yet. It's quite a slow process when you keep switching and swapping all the time. This is why when I do any sort of colouring, I tend to pick up one colour and do all of that colour first, and then or the next colour next, and then you'd have to keep swapping back and forth, and it's quicker. But okay, now I'm moving to the top over here. I didn't change pens because I didn't think it was necessary. Now I think these dots are supposed to be snow, and snow isn't this colour, have you noticed? But it doesn't matter because it's my picture. I think that it looks more autumnal with these sort of magical metallic dots. So I think it's better. I mean, if you wanted to make this look wintry, you could dot some snow all over the top of the squirrel, all over the tops of the ribbons, all over the tops of the berries and things like that. Just get your white pen, dot, 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 dot. Be quite difficult to see, like up here and in here. So you might want to do a bit of a background inside the circle, which was something I considered doing and then didn't do it in the end. I think we've got quite a mix of things going on that I don't think we really need to worry about that now. Have I missed any? I don't think so, probably, but I can't see it at first glance, so I'm going to hope that I didn't and hope that that is done. I think so. I think I've done it all. There we go. So we have finished. I think it does look quite autumnal, but also you could say it was a bit Christmassy as well. So I think I'm pleased with the balance that I got. It was what I was hoping for and looking for. So there it is. So thank you for joining me in this quite long series. I hope that you enjoyed it. Something different coming your way tomorrow. Got to decide. Haven't decided yet. I've got a few things lined up. I just got to find something the right length. But yes, I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day and happy colouring.